You tell yourself that you want to forget, that you want to move on. Yet, why does this person still occupy your thoughts every day? Why, despite the pain they caused, do you miss them? Why does every notification make your heart race in the hope that it's them, even after everything? Be honest with yourself. What you miss is not the person, but the projection you created of them, the illusion of love, the reflection of what you hoped they would be. As Carl Jung reminded us, what we refuse to face within ourselves inevitably returns to us as fate. Perhaps that is exactly what you are experiencing now. You are not simply navigating a breakup. You are confronting a mirror, one that reflects truths you have long avoided. This is not a video of cliché self-help tips or shallow encouragements to move on. The truth here will unsettle you. It will touch wounds you've tried to conceal. But it also has the power to liberate you. The reality is harsh. What we often call love is, at its core, our shadow attaching itself to someone who feeds our unhealed wounds. It is not love, but imprisonment. And what if I told you that your attachment, the pain, the anxiety, the endless hope, has far less to do with the other person and everything to do with what you have yet to discover within yourself? In this journey, we will explore the hidden mechanisms of the psyche, why we cling to those who harm us, why the mind confuses attachment with love, and how one begins to break free. But prepare yourself, because the truth is never easy. It is, however, the only path that frees you from begging for love and leads you back to your own essence. Ask yourself, why do you feel so deeply bound to someone who clearly does not serve your well-being? Why, even in the face of abuse, manipulation, and neglect, does a part of you still crave them? The answer lies not in the other person, but within you, and far deeper than you might expect. For Jung, relationships were never merely social interactions. They are mirrors of the unconscious. When we fall in love, we rarely see the other as they truly are. Instead, we project onto them aspects of ourselves we have repressed or never truly known. This is what Jung called psychic projection. The person you are attached to embodies not themselves, but an inner image, perhaps even an archetype such as the anima or animus, the primordial feminine and masculine forms that dwell within us. These figures symbolize what we feel is missing within, the lost parts we long to reclaim. But when projected outward, they create an overwhelming illusion, one that mistakes dependence for wholeness, submission for love. What begins as admiration and passion soon devolves into obsession, as reality fails to match the image we have projected. We'll lose ourselves, accept crumbs, justify mistreatment, and call it love, when, in truth, it is a psychological hunger masked as devotion. So long as you seek outside what you lack inside, you remain imprisoned by others' approval, trapped by unanswered messages, conditional attention, and validation that never comes. Jung warned, until you integrate these hidden parts of yourself, you will repeat the same cycles, with the same relationships disguised under different faces. This is not misfortune. It is unconscious destiny. So how do you escape this cycle? By confronting the persona, the mask you built to be loved, useful, desirable. This mask may have helped you survive, but over time, you mistook it for your true identity. In relationships marked by dependency, you silence your wants, dim your light, and sacrifice your authenticity to keep the other from leaving. But this validation is never enough. Because no matter how much you are praised, if you feel like a stranger to yourself, you will remain empty. That emptiness is not longing for the other person. It is longing for yourself, for the parts you abandoned to be accepted. This is why absence feels unbearable, silence feels like rejection, and criticism cuts so deeply. It is not about them. It is about the disconnection from your own essence. The anxiety you carry is not your enemy. It is your psyche's alarm, the soul's cry that you are betraying yourself. Every sleepless night, every obsessive thought, every tightening of the chest is a reminder that the self you have silenced is still alive, still waiting. Jung teaches us that this fragmentation is not an end, but an invitation. An invitation to reintegrate, to reclaim the lost parts of yourself, and to face what you have hidden in the shadows. For the shadow, the denied, rejected, and repressed aspects of your being always finds a stage. And its favorite stage is relationships. This is why you repeat the same painful patterns. The shadow ensures that what you refuse to face in yourself will return to you through others. You may despise in them what you cannot accept in yourself, and love in them what you have abandoned in yourself. Until you recognize this, you will remain trapped in cycles that feel like destiny. Freedom begins the moment you dare to turn inward, to confront the shadow, to listen to the soul's alarms, and to reclaim what you lost in the pursuit of being loved. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist, persists. What you accept, transforms." It is not enough to escape toxic relationships. True transformation requires understanding why you are drawn to them in the first place. And that takes courage, the courage to look within and admit that part of the chaos comes from you. Old wounds, unresolved traumas, repressed desires, all of these must be faced and integrated, not denied. So the question arises, how do we turn this shadow into strength? How do we break the cycle of emotional self-sabotage and rebuild the most important relationship of our lives, the relationship with ourselves? This is what Jung called individuation, the process of returning to your center and reclaiming your wholeness. But make no mistake, individuation is not a gentle or easy path. It is a confrontation with everything you have avoided, your insecurities, your traumas, your destructive patterns. It demands that you open your eyes to the ways you have betrayed yourself in search of love and belonging. Not because you wanted pain, but because you didn't know another way to live. Individuation begins the moment you stop chasing those who do not value you and start facing yourself with radical honesty. When you ask, why do I abandon myself just to keep others close? What am I trying to compensate for? Which part of me do I give away each time I beg for love? These questions are painful, but they pierce the veil of illusion. With every boundary you set, every silence you choose instead of pleading, every time you say no instead of bending, you reclaim a piece of your soul. You move closer to a self that is more whole, complete, and free. And here lies the turning point. When you reconnect with your center, others cease to be your salvation. You no longer need external validation to feel worthy. You no longer beg for affection to feel complete. You inhabit your own body, your own truth, your own space. For Jung, individuation is the realization of the self, who you are beyond masks, beyond the persona, beyond the tyranny of the shadow. At this stage, you understand that your pain is not your identity. It is only a chapter in your story. But awareness is not the end. There is still one final step, applying this knowledge in daily life. How do you release those who hurt you? And more importantly, how do you transform that release into inner power? Letting go does not mean forgetting, erasing, or pretending it never hurt. It means understanding, accepting, and releasing. It means recognizing that the person who hurt you belonged to one chapter, but not the next. Clinging to them is like trying to cross an ocean while dragging an anchor. You will sink before you arrive. Letting go is painful. It requires burying expectations, fantasies, and unfulfilled hopes. But this pain is sacred. It is the pain of rebirth, the necessary mourning that allows you to return to yourself. You no longer need to shrink to fit into narrow relationships. You no longer need to mold yourself to the expectations of those who cannot see your essence. The time has come to choose yourself, not out of selfishness, but out of integrity. Because as long as you keep trying to repair broken bonds, you drift further from your own healing. Jung reminded us that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Perhaps the most courageous choice you can make today is not to change others, nor to rewrite the past, but to commit to living from your truth, without masks, without chains, and without repeating patterns that only cause you pain. So ask yourself, what do you need to release to finally set yourself free? Write it down. Treat it as a symbolic act of liberation. Because in truth, you are speaking to yourself. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and continue this journey. Here, you won't find shallow answers, but you will find deep truths that can change the course of your life. And don't stop here. The next video may carry the exact piece you need to complete your healing puzzle.